than the person I'm so lucky to be married to. So I'm going to pass the mic over to my loving husband, Pete Buttigieg.
I love my husband. I love campaigning with my husband, but he's come to be so good at this. I don't always love taking the stage. Did I marry up or what? Thanks so much for having us. We're so excited. We've been looking forward to this for quite a while, and I'm amazed that you escaped some of those dairy puns. Some told me if you ask him after, you'll get more than your fair share.
I just wanted to move the...
Yeah.
So sorry.
How about these Madtown O's? What an amazing energy, and it just feels good to be gathered in a good cause like we are today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It feels good to be reminded not just of what we are against, but what we are for.
Yeah.
And one thing we are very much for is sending Tammy Baldwin back to the United States. You already know that Wisconsin needs her representing you in Washington. I just want to make sure you understand that America needs her in the United States. Friends, we got about 80 days left, and we got to make the most of every single one of those days. But what I see around me right now gives me so much confidence and so much optimism for what's ahead. And I can't put it better than Chasten did when he talked about the importance of getting out there and talking to your neighbors and tapping into your why. Our answer to the question of why we're in this changed in so many ways the day we got that phone call that changed our lives, and the next day we're holding these tiny, incredible newborns in our arms. And ever since then, the first thing I see most days when my eyes open is the face of our daughter, who has a way of snuggling up sometime between midnight and 3 in the morning. Occasionally notifying us as she gets into bed that she had a bad dream about the dinosaurs. And we tell her, promise you, kid, no dinosaur is going to get you on our watch. Feels good to make a promise that you're 100%. The trouble is, some of the other promises that we want to be able to make to our daughter and our son aren't as guaranteed. They're not things that are going to come true 100% whether we work for it or not, like the promise that no harm will come to her from a dinosaur getting under her bed in the middle of the night. We want to guarantee that she's going to grow up with more rights and freedoms than she started out with. We actually have to work for that. And that's what I know all of you are ready to do. We want to make sure that she is safe, that our kids are going to be okay, that they're going to live in a climate that they can prosper in. We got to get out there and work for it. And we got to get out there and we got to talk to two kinds of people. There's our fellow Democrats. They don't need to be persuaded about the policies. They just need to be persuaded to get out and vote. You got to tell them we don't have the luxury to sit on the bench. And look, part of what we have going for us is that most Americans already agree with us on the policy. Most Americans already agree that in this country, it is the wealthy who need to pay more of their fair share, not the other way around. Most Americans already agree with us that the right person to make a decision about a woman's health and reproduction is that woman and not some politician who wants to impose. Agree with us that protecting our children in school is not about protecting them from some Toni Morrison paperback. It's protecting them from gun violence, and we need leaders who are willing to stand up. We've also got a lot of friends friends and neighbors and relatives out there who maybe won't agree with us 100% of the time on the policy, maybe aren't in the habit of voting for Democrats, maybe just feel a little straight, just their muscles will feel weird if they reach for a Democrat or Republican, but we can reach them this time. They're what I like to call the future former Republicans, and there's never been a better time to welcome them to our country. You don't have to be a lifetime Democrat to understand that if you care about law and order, you might want to elect somebody who understands that the rule of law is for protecting the vulnerable and not for trampling anytime you think it's convenient for you. Maybe we should go ahead and vote for the prosecutor and not the felon if we care about it. You don't have to be a lifelong Democrat to know that the only thing you ought to say to somebody who spent 24 years in uniform is thank you for your service. A lifelong Democrat to be more interested in the leaders who are out there building bridges than the ones who are out there banning books. We have a chance to call people to join us, to invite people to be at our side as we participate in this incredible democracy. I love that you think of democracy as action, because it's true. And that's really what we're part of. I have a slightly different take, even though I understand what we all mean when we say that we're out there saving our democracy. But to me, when I think about our democracy and how, frankly, how messy it is, how imperfect it's always been, how much work it has taken just to make our democracy a little more democratic from one generation to the next, I feel like we're not so much saving a democracy as we are building one. We're building it together. And that's what you're doing every time you knock on a door, especially if you're not the kind of person whose idea of a relaxing afternoon is to go talk to strangers. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing every time you reach out and have a somewhat uncomfortable conversation, reminding somebody why this matters so much to you. That's what you're doing every time you pick up the phone, every time you volunteer, and every time you vote. So are we ready to make sure that the answer is not that we will be the generations of Americans to have seen the high watermark of rights and freedoms in this country before they came to be slowly withdrawn, starting with the right to choose, but rather that we will make sure that our kids, our next generation, will see a better, fairer, more free life than the one that was handed up.